This Google Sheet is writing 500 personal emails right now, one for each lead, while I sit here and watch. You can do this with a Google Sheet formula, but you can do it with Claude. And make sure to stay until the end, because we're also going to see how much this pleasure actually costs. First, let's address the problem that trips up a lot of people, because essentially there are two main ways in which you can connect Claude to Google Sheets. There is Claude AI extension in your browser, no code, lives where you already work, and there is the Claude API with Claude Code in the terminal, which means a bit more setup, but handles hundreds of rows without you babysitting it. Let's look at both of those doors into the same brain, and in a minute I'll tell you which door is yours. Hi, I'm Jenny, and I like systems that do not work. And one system that almost never works is the way we are usually being told how to do AI in Google Sheets. Almost every tutorial usually has one dummy cell, fake data, and no idea whether real usage costs you $2 or $200 a month. So today I decided to run a real workload with 500 row list of sales leads, where Claude scores every lead and drafts personal reply to each. I want to do it both ways. First using the AI browser extension, and then through Claude Code in the terminal. The idea being that terminal is of course much more powerful, but you pick whichever lane suits you most and follow it until to the finished spreadsheet. And in the end, we're going to look into my live usage dashboard to see how much you're going to pay for those 5 rows exactly, and how that compares to 1,000 or 10,000 rows. Here's the sheet we're working with, and notice it's not some sort of toy data. Every lead here has 3 context columns, what they asked about, where we met, and one personal note. Those columns are the whole trick, because they hold exactly the information a mail merge cannot use. Whenever I have to gather requirements or other sort of information in bulk, I try to use a systematic method for capture. Please check out this video here, where I break down exactly how to do it. Read one row with me now. Ask about pricing for a team of 12. Met me at Bogota meetup. Mentioned they hate onboarding docs. I could probably build a merge template that would insert this person's name, but I won't be able to turn those 3 fragments into a warm, specific email that would sound like I wrote it after remembering the conversation. Instead of substituting one pattern for another, we need to exercise some sort of judgment, yeah? And also it's not one event of judgment, but 500, which would probably take me a week of work. It could have been a good excuse previously, and I could say, no, I don't have time for this, just blast 500 generic emails, which would probably burn most of those leads. Fortunately, we don't have this excuse anymore, because we can automate the judgment itself. So what I'm gonna ask Claude is to read each row, weigh the context, score the lead, and draft the reply. The only question left is which door we are going to have Claude to walk through. So at this point in this video, you can go 2 ways. If terminals aren't your thing, stay right here, and we're going to talk about the browser extension method for doing this. If you already know you want the programmatic way of connecting to a spreadsheet, please jump to the chapter called The Other Way. Both lanes end at the same finished spreadsheet, so nobody's getting lesser version. Browser lane, let's go. Install the extension, open the sheet, and talk to it like you would talk to a colleague sitting next to you. I ask it to read the first 20 leads, use the 3 context columns, score each lead, and write a draft into a new column. Watch the column fill. Each draft is different because each row's context is different, and the difference is what you're paying for, yeah? One thing decides quality here, the instruction. Mine sets the tone, caps the length, and says what to do when a row's context is thin, and it's included in the free template below. It's what's on your screen right now. If you want to understand why that one instruction carries so much weight, watch the prompt that's giving you AI results right here after this. The thing that browser extension tutorials usually gloss over is that this method is working best for smaller batches. If you only have to process 20 leads per week, you can stop the tutorial right here and skip ahead to the cost chapter. But if you have more than that, 500 for example, as I do, let's go to the terminal. Google Cloud Console may look like an airplane cockpit to many people, but since we now have Claude by our side who can provide a step-by-step pretty much anything, we no longer have to be intimidated by that, yeah? In this case, we only need 4 switches. We enable the sheets and write API, create a credential, download a key file, and share your sheet with the account you created the same way you would share it with a coworker. You can replay this last few seconds a few times hitting pause to go through all the steps, but essentially there's not much you can mess up. And now the payoff. I open Claude Code in any terminal or IDE I like and type in plain English. Please read my lead sheet, score every lead from the context columns, and write a personalized draft in column H. That's it. Claude Code writes whichever script it needs to do this, runs it against all 500 rows, and reports back while I get my coffee. And we don't need to worry about any loops, batching, or having to babysit anything. This is the difference that the terminal buys here. Yeah, the browser lane needs me in the chair, in the loop here, and this lane needed me just for one sentence. One thing to watch out for is that you have to pay attention now how you describe your requirements to Claude, yeah? Because one thing I learned the hard way is that Claude tends to make a lot of assumptions about the things and doesn't hear from you, which leads to frustrated remaking and debugging later down the line. For example, if you want to use the same operation a month later, there could be some bugs because something that it misunderstood. And I covered those breakages and their fixes in this video, and they apply straight to the setup as well. Okay, so now is the time to pay up on the promise from the beginning. I was kind of thinking how I could measure exactly how much the cost could compare API call versus the browser usage. And I figured that there's no easy way if you launch the call through the actual browser, through the browser extension, because it doesn't write the cost down in the place where you can read them. So I decided to run both API call and also the browser call through the terminal. So I kind of emulated the browser call through the terminal as well. This way I could measure, and you see this on the screen right now. I've built a little app that reports every few seconds how much how much is the ongoing cost of that exact session which is running right now. And the way it works, yeah, it pings me every few seconds, and you can see that the costs are going up and up and up a few cents every few seconds. However, and we can see in the terminal that the operation is working, but when you look in the actual browser, it's not much happening. Yeah, so it's thinking about things, but the browser extension is not as efficient essentially. Yeah, you can compare this to the week you were typing away those lead responses. And essentially you have the shift of thinking now that you're no longer thinking about whether using AI with your Google Sheet is scary or unfamiliar, but instead you're thinking about whether it's worth your lunch money, so to say. You can grab the spreadsheet that I'm talking about in the free downloads as usual. Link to this in the description, and please go ahead and try out either of those two ways, preferably both. Let me know how it went. And next week we're going to post a follow-up video to this one, where we're going to build the entire spreadsheet based tool with Claude Code. And today your best next video to watch is my Obsidian plus Claude Code workflow right here.